Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Morning Meta. I am yours truly, Travis Spencer.
I'm Camilla Crawley.
All right, Camilla, I'm excited about today's
Yes,
conversation.
me too. We have a very special guest here
Mhm.
today. I am so excited.
Yes.
Yes.
So, share with the folks a little bit about our special guest.
Well, today we have Hajjah Dena Corbin, and she is a retired special education educator with over 32 years of service and the founder of Natural Ground One, which is a wellness platform rooted in horticultural therapy, environmental education, and holistic well being. Dena is a certified horticultural therapist, master gardener, and applied positive psychology practitioner. Her work centers on community healing, sustainability, and personal growth through nature based practices. She is also the author of Change, Balance, and Flow, an essential oil journey, a TEDx speaker, and a recipient of multiple community leadership awards, including the Nelson Mandela Freedom Award. So we have a very, very wonderful guest today. I can't wait to hear some of the wisdom and knowledge that she has to share with us.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Camilla. I asked you to read my resume or my bio because it's interesting to hear the journey and the work, right, that I have put in, by Allah's grace and mercy. And it's available. It's available for everybody. A lot of what you just heard came from me saying yes to 2 years of just saying yes for 2 years. Yes to what I thought would benefit me, what I thought would benefit my community. And in those accomplishments that you mentioned, those things that I've done, I often sit back and say, wow. I often sit back and say, wow, because I wasn't always like that. I wasn't always as outgoing and as what is in the bio. I remember waking up one morning in a very dark place, and I had to struggle and fight to get to the person that you see in front of you. And it happened because I said yes, I showed up, and I continue to do the work. It's not easy. It's not easy to get out of a dark place and space when you find yourself. And a lot of that is happening right now in our world in front of us, right? So what I had to do, because let me just go back a little bit, right? I'm the youngest of 13 children. So I really never had to do anything for myself. I always had someone in my corner. I always had someone directing me and guiding me. And I didn't have to rely on my own person, my own who I was. And I really kind of didn't even know who I was until I retired at the age of 55, right? So when I retired, I found myself in this place and space that I did not know. I didn't know myself. I didn't trust myself. And I'm saying all of these things to get people who are viewing this to understand that it's not pretty, it's not easy, but it's doable, right? It's definitely doable. And what I had to do, first of all, I had to really understand who I was by my mindset. Mindset played a key role in how I thought about people, how I thought about the things that were around me. So I had to think about my mindset. I had to change my mindset. Was it a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, right? A growth mindset is that mindset where, you haven't done anything yet, right? You always want to think about the bigger picture when you talk about a growth mindset. It's a growth mindset is you may not be born with the talent, you may not be born with X, Y, and Z, you may not have this, but you have the ability to make those things happen, right? That fixed mindset says you can't do it. You just if you don't have it, you don't have it, right? So I began to really kind of study mindset, and what I came up with was a growth mindset says I haven't done it yet. They're more concerned about the journey and the skills and the things that they can learn. And that's what I did. I had a growth mindset, and I was on this journey to find who I was, and I was interested in learning everything that I could along the way. Whereas a fixed mindset, I realized, was this mindset that they're going through the journey, because we're all traveling. We're going through the journey, right? We're going through learning in our everyday life, but they don't appreciate the gems and the struggles and the things that can happen during that mindset. And they never say yet. It's always, I can't do it. Right. So once I kind of got my mindset in order, I had to really learn what my intention was. Right. Intentions are those things that guide you to understand that when you say something, when you put something out there and somebody takes it a certain way, it may not be the way that you want it to be. That's not your stuff. That's their stuff, right? That's their stuff, because you're guided by your intentions. And if you're a good person, then your intentions are going to be pure. And then I had to learn to trust myself. Oh my gosh. That was the biggest thing, because I never had to. I always had someone to come to my rescue. And learning to trust myself, that was the most challenging. And the way I was able to do that, I just began to sit with myself, because I always had somebody around me. So I began to just learn how to be in company with myself. I started maybe like going out to dinner a little bit, maybe going to lunch a little bit. I started reading. I looked at one point doing this journey, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I remember when I started speaking to women, telling my story, right? When Camilla mentioned my book, when I wrote my book, it was really a book, I thought, mainly about transitioning from, it was about retirement, really, but it became this book of transformation, right? And I remember speaking on stages to women when I was in that period that I mentioned, when I said yes to everything for 2 years. I began to speak on stages and tell my story, because I realized that the story wasn't just for me. Other people may be going through this as well. When I woke up in that dark place and space, and retirement was, retirement is retirement, right? You're working all your years in your life, and then all of a sudden your life completely changes. So that was a struggle in and of itself. So when I began to speak on stages, I started thinking about the four windows, right? And I started teaching from the four windows, and I also started teaching from the 8 dimensions of wellness, what we're going to get into a little bit later, right? So those four windows say, window number one is things that people know about you, that you already know. You know about yourself, right? Things that people just know. Your name, the color of your skin, your eye color, right? Window number two are things that people know, that you know about yourself, that other people may not know, like how much money you have in the bank or don't have, right? Your favorite food, right? Those are things that you may not tell people initially when you meet them. And window number three, and pay attention real good to this one, these two. Window number three and window number four is where I lived in when I was going through that, trying to get used to waking up in that dark place, when I was trying to find myself, be intentional, change my mindset. Window number three says things that people don't know about you. I mean, things that people know about you that you don't know about yourself. Things that people know about you that you don't know about yourself. And that spoke to me, because there were people that were in my circle that were telling me things. Oh, when I was going through that struggle, I was struggling. So you can do it. Just trust yourself. You have the ability to do these things. You want to speak to people. You want to tell people your story. You want to write your book. You want to, start a business. You have the ability to do these things, right? So that was key. And in saying yes to these things, there are people in my life right now that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that's huge. When you have someone that believes in you, when you don't believe in yourself, and I'm not talking about any and everybody, I'm talking about your circle, the people who you trust, the people who you love, and the people you respect, and the people that respect you. And window number 4 says things that you don't know about yourself, nor do other people. And the only way you're going to learn about these things is when you attend a conference, when you listen to a playback like we getting ready to have right here, when you read a book, right? When you engage in conversation, when you're open, when you have that open mindset to take in new things. And I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I always wanted to be a master gardener. And when I retired, I was like, that was one of the first things I did. And I did it, right? And I remember there was so much information as being a master gardener, right? It's a lot of information. Just look it up when you get a moment. But there's a lot of information. It's good information. It's a lot of connections about your environment and, you know, your community and how you support them, you know, and you help and you serve. There was one class that I fell in love with, and that was native plants. And the person who came in and did the talk was very passionate. And that's my passion right to this day is native plants. I'm getting ready to build a pollinator pathway in this great city of Newark. I love native plants. And I often think, and I tell this story because I could have lived my entire life not knowing my passion. If I hadn't taken or hadn't looked at or been a part of window number 4, things that you don't know about yourself, nor do other people. And the only way you're going to find out is through conversation, through workshops, hiring a coach, you know, just coming outside of yourself. And I'm saying that to lead into the fact that window number 3, and window number 2 is where we're going to kind of stay in, right? I'm telling you that if you just incorporate one thing that I'm going to talk to you about today, it will change your life. I guarantee it will change your entire life. So the other thing that I had to learn in this struggle, in this new place that I found myself in, is the connection, right, to the community. My connection in my community. I was retired now. I had all this time. I remember thinking and speaking from a stage in Atlanta, and having fulfilled all my pillars. I'm Hajjah. I've gone on Hajj, right? You know, I'm not going to tell you what the 5 pillars are. You look them up, right? But I fulfilled all my pillars. So I'm thinking to myself, and I asked a lot. I said, I have fulfilled everything. I mean, some of it is ongoing, right? But I fulfilled the pillars that hold up this religion that I'm a part of. What do I do now? What does that look like for me after retiring, right? What, my kids grown, out of the house, married, children, grandchildren. What do I do? What I'm doing right now is what came to me. What Camilla mentioned in my bio is what I'm doing. And I am so grateful and so honored to be able to be a asset to my community. And in Islam, you know, we don't, there's a hadith from our prophet that says, may peace and blessings be upon him, that says you're better, it's more acceptable for your community to give you a title than for you to assume one of your own, right? So the way my community sees me is how they see me. I've never gone in and said, this is how I want to be, right? That's not how I want to, that's not how I got to where I am. So I suggest I showed up and this happened. So fast forward to 2025, right? Now I'll take you back to 2023. That was the last time I did my whole Wellness Woman conference, and it's coming up again. I'll keep you posted into that. But 2023 was a very heavy year. I had a lot of responsibility, community-wise, family-wise. And 2024, a lot of things were alleviated because I was able to delegate. And delegation is a key. It's a skill set. Because when I was so used to having everybody doing something for me, and then I got to this mindset of I'm going to do it all, I got to get better. right? It took me a while to begin to ask for stuff, right? If you're afraid to ask for what you need, you won't have it. You won't have it. And but even before you step out to ask, understand that everything you have, everything you need, you have inside of you. You have the ability to manifest to make that happen. And I'm a testament to that. The other thing is having having your circle, having your circle, having your people that are surrounding you, and then also allowing yourself to align with with other things. Like the work that I do in my community is alignment with who I am, the person that I am, the person that I grew up being, right? You can't function, you can't grow, you can't do anything that's going to benefit you and sustain you if you are out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of alignment. So in 2024, I began to delegate, ask for what I need, and it was amazing. 2025 was a very, very great year for me, as well as for me and how I was able to show up more authentically and more intentionally for my community. We just had a blast, right? But one thing I learned also is the places and spaces that we are called to be in, we are called to be in because we're seen. We're seen. And there are some places and spaces that you may not feel you belong and that's fine. That's fine because, as my father used to say, you don't want to sit at everybody's table. And if you find yourself out of alignment and you walk into a room that's not in alignment with who you are and who you're meant to be, then there's going to always be friction. There's always going to be conflict, and you can't live in a conflicted world. So you bring your own table
Mm-hmm.
or your own chair, or you can do what I did and make your own. And that's how the Whole Wellness Woman came about. And when I decided to do the Whole Wellness Woman conference and I set a Whole Wellness Woman stage, I invited some authentic, phenomenal women to come with me. And some of them were in my circle and some of them were out of my circle. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me to showcase the phenomenal skill set that we have in our own community. That's sustainability, right? Sustainability is this word that I had no idea. I mean, you hear it, but I didn't really understand what it meant. I didn't really understand what it meant until I started living this life of trying to be, not I don't want to say independent, but knowing who I was, what my mission was, and who in my community we can kind of work together with, right? So coming up to 2026 and looking at the 8 dimensions of wellness that we have, right? In those, and that's a focus this growing season. And I like to say growing seasons because every season has its own characteristic, its own strength. It's something that we can pull from, right? And every season I always have like one word to sum up what that season meant for me. And 2025 was really authentic. It was just so authentic. It was so real. The community, if you're not in community, then you're missing something because individually, we know we already, we bad already. We can pull it off. But collectively, we are so much stronger and so much more powerful and so much sustainable. I was with a sister yesterday. I did a workshop and she says to me, she says, everything that we need, we have in our community. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
We have it. We just have to tap into it and not be afraid of who's going to show up, right? Because you have to let go of the outcome of anything that you're doing. You have to let go of the outcome. right? So in rebuilding Natural Ground One, it started years ago when my son was infant. He had respiratory imbalances, and I went to this health food store and I got some herbs from a sister that told me to get hyssop and licorice, and I started using that. And it was just one learning experience after the other. And so when I kind of like I said, when I retired, I kind of went back into the natural ground, and I said that this is Natural Ground One. This is the one, right? This is going to be the thing, because I always remember asking the creator of the heavens and earth and everything in between, that when education got to be like this business, to help me find something else. And that's when I asked that question: what is it that I should do? And this is what came to me, right?
Mhm.
So I remember thinking, how do I reintroduce this? How do I do this all over again? And I was called to be that business that viewed wellness through a different lens. Because a lot of what plagues us, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, it's not new. High blood pressure, diabetes, all these different things, depression, all these different things, they're not new. So we have to begin to look at it through a different lens. And that's what Natural Ground One was called to do. And I found that connecting to something bigger and better, higher than who we are, that spiritual kind of connection. And it's not this woo woo thing that a lot of people think, but it's really kind of figuring out connecting to something bigger and better than who you are, right? It's kind of like almost going outside of who you are and sitting back and being comfortable with who you are. So those 8 dimensions of wellness, right? Intellectual, physical, spiritual, emotional, occupational, environmental, community, and financial. All of those eight dimensions, our life fits into one of them. And how are you functioning in those dimensions? I chose to reintroduce myself and get to know who I was, because like I said, I didn't really know who Dena was, because I didn't have to. Other people was dealing with some stuff for me. I had to get back into nature. I had to revisit the girl that I was 8, 9, 16, 17, for in my township, growing up in my township in Lawrence Township, connecting to nature. I really had to do that. And I found, because I'm a love of learner, I'm a lifelong learner. One of my character strengths is love of learning, right? So when I started looking into the characteristics of nature, the characteristics of the different elements, I began to realize that they aligned with who I was. So what I'm saying is, when you begin to understand your character, who you are, and I advise everybody to take, it's called a character strength inventory, right? Character strength inventory. It tells you, and there's 27 character strengths. We all have them, but there are some that are always going to be at the top. And for me, it was love of learning. And that was a profound find, because when I first found out about it, I was in a coaching program and I was just doing it just to be coached, just to do the work. I wasn't open for it, right? You can be open for learning and you can be receptive for learning. You can decide, right? We're always open because our subconscious takes on more than our conscious does in any given moment, right? And when I first was introduced to character strengths, I was like, okay, whatever. I was open, but I wasn't receptive. And when I took my positive psychology course, I was receptive, because it blew my mind. When I was in the Girl Go Be Great coaching program, right? I did not, I wasn't open for it. I just didn't want it. It didn't. But when I became receptive to it, it was one of the things in that struggle to find who I was. It really changed my life, because it made me realize that this is who I am. And I've always been some of these things that your character strengths will reveal to you. It will solidify who you are. So I recommend you take that. And after being called to view wellness through a different lens, I started this journey on, like I said, identifying um, identifying the elements, identifying the nature, and finding out. Okay, so fall is my favorite time of the year. So I started looking at the characteristics, and these are things that I recommend. Right? Like I said in the very beginning, if you change one thing that I am suggesting to you today, it will change your life. I promise you. I promise you. So when I began to look at the fall, the characteristics of fall, I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. Wanting to kind of release some things, appreciate the beauty that's there, right? Another characteristic is letting go. Like there was a lot of things, like leaves falling, right? There was a lot of stuff that I had to let go. And there's a lot of things that some of us are going to have to let go because it has no place in where you want to be, right? Like I was spoiled. If it wasn't my way, it wasn't the right way. I just had some stuff. I pouted when I didn't get my way. My sisters, brothers, high school friends, college friends, my husband, children, they always gave me what I wanted. Right? So I had to let go of some stuff because what I realized is this ain't working when you're trying to figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some things in your life right now, as you're listening to me, that you're going to have to let go. And only you can determine what that is. Nobody can decide what it is for you. Nobody. This is just stuff. Right. So I had to learn to let go of some things. And when I learned to let go and not even worry about the outcome, I began to relax. And people started saying, oh, you look different. You're showing up different, because I remember having to forgive a few people. And forgiveness is an emotion, it's a feeling, right? Our emotions, our energy, it has a place in our space, right? And I remember I went to a conference, a workshop or something. Remember that window number 4, things you don't know about yourself and you won't know until you attend stuff, go to stuff, right? And there was a woman, but I don't know what it was. We talked and talked, and she kind of walked me through this forgiving. And that became my first coach, my first life coach. And walking through that process of being able to forgive, I remember feeling different, like lighter. And I started thinking, wow, this is why people don't do this stuff. This is why people don't stay with it, because you feel different. I remember walking past the mirror and I was like, whoa, because I look different. I was able to forgive. I let go of that resentment that I have for these people.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did that, that was another that oh, you can do it, that I heard from those people in window number 3, right? So you have to begin to realize what it is what are you holding on to? And when I let go of that and I had that empty space, I realized that people, like, what do you do with it? How do you maneuver? Like, this doesn't feel right. You just keep going. Just keep showing up, keep saying yes, keep being surrounded by people that love you and support you, and you'll get through it. I did. And we're not different. We're not that different. Humans are not that much different. We think we are sometimes, but there's certain things that we all need and want to do, right? So you have to just show up. The show up is real. That is so key. So really realizing what didn't serve me anymore, letting that go, The other things I had to, it was just a bunch of stuff, that I really, really worked through. I worked through, but I continued to show up even when it was uncomfortable. I remember my first interview I had on a tour that I was on. They wanted to do a promo, and we had to do this talk. I was like, oh my God. I was so nervous. I was so nervous. But you know what I did? I did it anyhow. And then I took a course on how to be, Facebook stuff, like when to post and what to say and how to, all of this. So what I'm saying is, whatever you need, it's out there and it's within your community. It can be within your community or not. You just have to find it. You just have to find it. Right. So um are you listening?
Oh yeah.
I'm talking to the people that are going to see this after
Mhm.
after we close out.
Oh yeah. Oh.
My promise is real. So stepping into 2026 for me, and I'm not bragging, but those 8 dimensions, they pretty cool. I'm kind of like good, a little bit better in others. My environmental, my spiritual, my physical. I walk. My occupational. I'm cool with that. I'm stepping into 2026 with my financial wellness. I'm improving that because that's something. Because we're about to make a whole bunch of money and we need to be financially set and stable and figure out how to make our money work for us. We all about to be financially set, right? So that's something that I lack, and I'm not in ownership of your stuff is another thing. You have to own what you sometimes don't want to own, because that way there's room for improvement. You can make it happen.
Mhm.
So I'm joining some financial programs. I got my little checkbook.
Uh-oh.
Uh-uh. Oh no, what happened?
Okay. I guess we can.
I'm here, but I'm not seen. I don't
Yeah,
know what
we can hear you.
happened.
Okay. Yeah, let's pause it. All
Okay,
right.
so we're back.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Wonderful. Sorry about that. So, stepping into 2026 is this uninterrupted lifestyle. That's going to be my whole theme for 2026. And my financial wellness is driving that, right? I'm going to get my money in order. I'm going to get all of my stuff that I need to get in order to be financially comfortable, because I'm not financially comfortable. I need to do more better record keeping, more spending of my money, what I need, and really spending in my circle, in my community. Because I always, like, remember what I said, excuse me, about things that don't serve you. You got to get rid of some stuff. Well, that's one of the things I always get rid of some stuff. Because if I see it and I got the money, I'm going to buy it. I got to get rid of that, because I don't always need all this stuff. You got a lot of stuff, right? So really stepping into my financial wellness, and then this uninterrupted lifestyle. I started talking about uninterrupted lifestyle back into like the end of November, December, promoting a product that Natural Ground One will be coming out with in April. My Whole Wellness Woman wellness box. It's a subscription to for a 3 month intensive learning and training and recalibrating who you are and how you're going to show up in the world. And I used to always say, like, I want to help women come out of those dark places and spaces. And I still do, actually. But how do we prevent ourselves from getting into those spaces? That's going to be the conversation. That's going to be the conversation, right? Because that's a much needed conversation. But if you do find yourself in places and spaces that you don't want to be in, like emotionally, physically, spiritually, there's always an out. There's always an out. And if you have a community, window number 3, right? and window number 4, right? Those are places and spaces that you may be able to grasp what you need to pull you out of those things. But this 3-month membership is really going to help you with that. Really going to help you with that. We have oils in there. We have not confirmation, but affirmation. I don't even want to say affirmation because the cards were just ideas and thoughts that popped into my head when I was trying to find Dena again, right? And I recommend also, if you have like a notebook, right? A little notebook or something that you can either put in your car, your pocketbook, by your bedside. So when you have ideas and thoughts, write them down. And you'll be surprised that when you go back and look at what you were thinking at a particular time and you overcame something that was really hurting you and you don't have to cry about it anymore, you'll be like, wow, I did that. Because progression is what fuels us. It fuels our flow, right? So going into 2026 uninterrupted, we have always been an uninterrupted people. When I think about suffering all throughout the world, you see people that are still praying, right? You see people that are still moving and growing, right? And think about our ancestors. Think about what they had to overcome, right? What did that look like for them? So for us to be in this place and space at this time, there's challenges, absolutely. Because what I realize, I sometimes I always want to have like those days where you just don't have to do nothing and it's just easy. Yeah, it's more days where it's challenging than it is easy. But the thing is, you have what is needed to show up. Because when I asked Allah the question, what do I do now? He already knew the answer. He was waiting for me. He waiting for us. There are people who are waiting to hear your story. There are people waiting on what you have to offer. And it doesn't have to be on a big scale. It doesn't, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have to begin to collectively work together as our ancestors did, as the people that are suffering in the world right now continue to show up uninterrupted. So when I started thinking about this, stepping into 2026 financially, getting my financial wellness in order, I started thinking about, so what does that mean to be uninterrupted? What does that look like, right? How do you manifest an uninterrupted lifestyle? If you feel in your head mindset again that you're being interrupted by all of this chaos and suffering that we're witnessing. I want to show you something. I don't know if you can see this. You see that? That's a tomato seed. You see how tiny they are? When I talked about nature, when I talked about connecting to nature and your elements, I remember thinking this thought just really came to me, I would say within the last 3 months. There's never a lack in nature. There's always an abundance. So if nature can take these tomato seeds, you see how tiny they are, and grow an abundance of tomatoes. Because if I just took one of these seeds and planted a tomato, I am not going to get one tomato. I'm going to get a whole bunch of tomatoes on my vine. And not only am I going to get a whole bunch of tomatoes, but the tomatoes, certain tomatoes need what? Support in order to flourish. You know how you got to get that cage around them? And I only chose tomatoes because they just happen to be on my desk, but it could almost be any type of thing that's grown. Some things need support. And when you talk about nature and gardening and how I've been able to incorporate it in the work that I do, think about pruning, right? Pruning, what do you need? What is pruning? It's getting rid of what the plant no longer needs. Yeah. And when you prune, when you cut away something that a plant no longer needs, it allows it to grow and flourish even more, right? So going back to what I said before, realizing and looking at what doesn't serve you and get rid of it, because you will flourish. you will find your place in space, right? So think about a tomato seed. Think about everything that grows in nature. You can't think about everything, but the things that you see that you like,
Mm-hmm.
how do they grow? What do they need? You give something, you give a plant, you give anybody, any living thing what it needs, it will flourish, it will grow. So when I started thinking about this uninterrupted lifestyle, the whole wellness woman uninterrupted 2026, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was to set positive intentions. And as I mentioned before, the way, because I know what kind of person I am. I'm not intentionally out to hurt anybody. I ain't trying to carry no hurt, because you don't know who the creator of the heavens and earth favors. So you don't want to be mean to people. So my intention is to bring out the best in people and to show people my best. So if I say something that offends you or something like that, not unless I'm in a bad mood and we fighting and arguing, then that's your stuff. And I'm okay with it, because some of us have stuff that we don't need, stuff that we haven't um, 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 addressed, stuff that we still carrying and blaming other people for. I ain't trying to do none of that. So intentions, you have to have the right intentions. The other thing is trust yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
have to begin to trust who you are and how you're going to show up in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
trusting yourself, as I mentioned before, but when I really kind of break it down and think about it, because I've been thinking about how you tell people there's certain things like post-pandemic, right, that we know we used to hearing and seeing, but we need to have a visual of what does trusting yourself look like. And for me, it's going to be different for everybody. I can say that. And for me, it was just sitting in stuff. And I remember one of my coach saying, just sit in it. Just sit in it, Dena. Like, sit in what? What are you talking about? It's a quiet, it's a calm. Just sit and let your mind go. Wander. Just let your mind go. Think about stuff that you like. Think about things you've overcome. Think about your childhood. Think about your mom. Think and just sit and pray, right? Because a lot of what's going to come to you is already out there. It's already written for you. Everybody was put on this earth to do something. And not only something for yourself and your family, but something that's going to benefit other people, because that's how we are. We're not born to be in isolation. We're born to be a collective, positive, energetic type of people. So you have to find out. You can't be a benefit to anybody if you don't know who you are. Right. That word empowerment. What does that look like? Right. And I was mentioning to a friend the other day, I don't want to be the only one that knows stuff. I don't. I don't want to be the only one that all of those things that Camilla mentioned on my bio. I don't want to be the only one doing that. I want more people doing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is develop posture, not arrogance, because that's ugly. Posture. And posture comes with knowing who you are. Posture comes with how do you present yourself and how do you allow people to treat you. Sometimes, granted, you got to get down and dirty, right? But overall, what's your posture? Because there are times where people, you can walk into a room and people say, oh no, here she coming, here she come, straighten up, be right. It's who you are. It's how you present yourself and how you show up in rooms. And let me say this about showing up in rooms, because I saw a little bit of this in 2025. Some of the rooms that we're called to go into, our ancestors prayed for us to be there, for us to be able to be in those rooms. But this is what we need to realize. Be respectful of the people that are already sitting at the table, that have allowed you to walk into the room. Because when you walk into a room and you're not respectful, you're not honoring the people that have laid the work, then that speaks to you, and you're not going to stay there long. You're not going to stay there long. You have to be respectful. There's a chain of respect that needs to be honored. And we I think we've gotten away from that a little bit. I think we need to return to that, because there's people that have laid a foundation for us that if it hadn't been for us, it would have been a much rougher path that we would have to take. Connections and engagement. Your people may not be the same. Connections, who are you connected to? And what is your engagement with the people that you're connected to? How are you, what are you doing? Are you just talking the talk and not walking the walk? Or are you just saying stuff, doing stuff? How are you engaging your community? How are you engaging yourself? How are you moving into your community? How are you connecting? What is it that you're doing? For me, I'm sharing everything that I know. I ain't holding nothing back, because that's heavy. And that's why I said in the very beginning, if you take one thing that I'm saying to you today, it will change your life. If you do one thing, I promise you, and then share it with 3 other people. That's how we begin to grow. It's not about holding on to everything. We don't grow like that. We don't grow like that. We don't support each other like that. The other thing is know your flow. What makes you happy? What balances you? Sometimes like flow is like getting into something and you just can't even stop. It's so good, whatever it is. What moves you? Like this is fun for me. This is the flow. Like I have other things to do when I leave here, right? But being in flow, talking and educating people and writing stuff and designing workshops, that's my superpower. I remember one of my coaches asked me, "What's your superpower?" I was like, "What superpower? Superheroes." But what is your superpower? Own who you are. My superpower is workshop development and design. I love it. I love it. And that's how I engage my community. I love engagement. Right. So that's pretty much it. I do have some closing remarks. I don't know if I need to stop here and ask a question, or you want me to go with the closing remarks.
We have 13 minutes.
All right. So you can go ahead and do your closing remarks, and then we'll come in after, after that.
Okay. So, I did say this already. And when I said those 2 years that I said yes, it was 2017 to 2019. I said yes to everything that would support my business, right? And those years, and some of the things that I said yes to are impacting my business right now. I want you to know that the life that you want and desire and deserve is available for you. And what I remember saying this one time, and it's in my description of my cards. The life that you want, okay, let's go back to window number 3. Things that people know about you that you don't know about yourself, and your friends are telling you, "Girl, you're so good with young people. You need to start a mentoring program." Or those cakes that you bake, you need to bake some cakes and start selling them. And you don't act on those things. Those things that you know, that you hear, they're going to keep coming and keep coming. And you're going to hear them over and over and over again. If you know that you're called to be somebody better than who you are right now, and you're not acting on it, it's not going to go away. And what's going to happen is you're going to die with it in you. They say there's so many missed opportunities and broken dreams in graveyards. It's true. There's a lot of people that die with stuff in them. Don't do that. Be the person that you can be. It's available. You're deserving. I remember thinking, I deserve to feel comfortable. I deserve to feel like I can trust myself when I didn't. It didn't feel right when I didn't trust myself, but I deserve to follow that path that would allow me to be able to trust myself. And again, what are your intentions? Be guided by your intentions. Know that you have the best intentions for every and anything that you do. I remember hearing, wake up and set your intentions. I didn't understand what that was. I understand now. Because there are people who wake up and their intention is negative, negative, negative. Y'all know those people. Avoid them. The other thing is flow with integrity. That's integrity and intentions kind of go, they like cousins, right? What is your, how do you present yourself? Your integrity. When people think about you, when they talk about you, or they, refer to you, do you have a certain level of integrity, like good stuff about you? Does that shine through? What is your integrity? And stay in alignment with who you are and the people that you're surrounded with. And do the work. Do the work. And don't be so concerned about the outcome. What's for you, you will get. And what's not for you, no matter how hard you try, it won't come to you. It won't come to you. And then execute your plan. Do the work. Go do what you got to do to get done what you got to get done. And I thank you, Camilla. I thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my opportunity and my story. I appreciate it. Travis, thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you, Dena.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. You took us on a wonderful journey.
I hope
And
so.
there were so many gems in what you shared. I'm sure that everyone out there that's listening can connect with even just one thing and take that with them. So to end out, we like to do a few sentence stems. So I'm going to say the first part of a sentence, and then you end it with the first word that comes to your mind.
Oh,
Okay?
okay. This should be
So,
fun.
yes. So the first one is healing in the African American community looks like, and you finish the rest.
Sustainability.
Mm. Ah, all right. And the next one is community to me looks like.
Collaboration.
Mhm. And finally, joy to me looks like.
Trust.
Mm, nice, nice.
Mhm.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Dena.
You're welcome.
And all of the information that we have is going to be in our newsletter. So Facebook at Natural Ground One, and the whole Wellness Woman, LinkedIn Natural Ground One, and the book is called Change, Balance, and Flow: An Essential Oil Journey. So just so much for people to really sit with and explore. I just love that you share so much, and also that you bring in nature, because as you already see, we've been using the nature themes as well, because it's a wonderful metaphor for life, and you
Yes.
express that in everything that you shared here today. So I just love that you brought that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you've shared. I think that the wisdom that came through you is going to support many people as they continue moving on their life journey.
I
You
hope
know,
so.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I really do. Because we have to move. We can't stay in the same place emotionally, physically, spiritually. We have to recognize it's big, it's huge. A lot of what's going on is huge, but we have to recognize our place in space and just continue to be uninterrupted.
hmm
Yes, yes.
Be uninterrupted.
All right. Well, everyone, you heard it from Dena, uninterrupted. That's the theme here for
Yes. Uninterrupted.
2026.
Yep.
So
Uninterrupted.
so definitely look out for everything that Dena has to offer. Explore all of her ways to engage with her, and keep joining us here at Morning Meta each and every day, where we're going to continue to be grounded, intentional, and connected.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Yes.
Okay,
Thank
Ashe.
you.